Warning. Listening to this show may result in increased levels of inspiration, motivation, and innovation. Side effects can include the immediate urge to take massive action to build a better business and life for yourself and others. You've been warned. Welcome to Influencers Radio with your host, Jack Mize.
Less is more. You hear that? Less is more. Less is more. You probably heard the saying, the less I do, the more I make. And those are all great words and inspiring words, but oftentimes when you kind of try to dig down behind that, what does that mean? You lose something in that translation. But today, you're going to get a very powerful definition of that because our guest is Russ Ruffino. If you are interested in adding commas and zeros to the price tag of your products, services, coaching, information, without adding to the time, your involvement, the overhead, then you are definitely not going to want to miss this. We'll be right back.
Don't miss a thing. Listen to and download past episodes, get show notes, resource lists, and leave feedback at influencersradio.com.
And we are back on Influencers Radio with Russ Ruffino. And I got to say, Russ is definitely one of the go-to authorities when it comes to helping coaches, consultants, info marketers, people that are selling stuff online or even helping others with their business. What he does is help folks scale their business very quickly to another level. I'm talking about, folks that have a $5,000 business, moving that to $20,000, a month very quickly. Folks that are making $20,000 a month, moving it to $100,000 a month very quickly without having to do a lot of the things that people think. It's not about working harder. It's not about hiring a bunch of staff. It's not about the dreaded cold calling. What I like is he's very clear about it. It's not even some magic ninja stuff. It's about systems. It's about a process that just about anybody can implement to improve their business. Folks that are, working too hard for the money. If you're making money, you're probably working harder than you thought you were going to work for it. Or maybe you've stagnated in that income level that you're at. You've created products. You've done the things that you thought you were supposed to do, but you've priced it low and you're starting to feel the grind on that. Everywhere you look, paid advertising, people say do paid advertising. That's the magic formula, but you can't seem to get the formula to add up. Right. And then if you're also stuck in the grind of creating content over and over, content, more content. Sometimes I know a lot of info product creators feel like they're a content jukebox sometime. What do my people want? That's what I better make. Russ, I want to welcome you to Influencers Radio. How are you doing?
I'm doing great, Jack. How are you?
I'm fantastic. I love watching your stuff and what you do because you have so many, what I call those V8 moments when I'm watching things that you think that, man, why, I should have seen that. I should have known that. That makes perfect sense. But at the same time, it's something that eludes so many people, right? And that's what you do essentially to get people out of every one of those problems that I talked about. Your solution is a simple one. Get people to pay you more for what you're doing already. Is that accurate? Right?
Yeah, that's accurate. I mean, look, my one of my core fundamental beliefs is this. And this is not my quote. This is, by a guy named Deming who, basically completely reinvented Japan's economy after World War II. And one of the things that he said, and this is something that I live and die by, is he said, if you can't describe what you're doing as a process, you don't know what you're doing. And so there are so many people out there that need more clients. They need to raise their prices. They need to, put big parts of their business on autopilot, and they just don't have a process or a system for doing it. And so they sign up for, this program or that program, and that person just tells them to work harder or believe in yourself or, visualize and manifest and stuff, but they don't actually tell you how to do those things. And all of those things can be achieved, but you've got to have a process for doing it, a system for doing it. And I think that's really what's lacking in a lot of the strategies people are using.
Well, I think that's really what makes you an influencer, truly an influencer, is there's a lot of people, it's common knowledge that a lot of people that buy how-to products, how do I start a business, how do I make money, the majority of them do nothing with it. Right? They do nothing with it. And that's understood. And I understand that you can't be responsible for whether someone takes action on doing it. But what I think makes you an influencer is you help the folks that did take action. You help the folks that did roll up their sleeves, that did the things that they were told to do, did the things that they were supposed to do. And now they're kind of left with, what's next? I'm at this place. I've done everything. I see now that this can work. I see that it does work, but I'm afraid that I'm doing it wrong, and they're getting burnt out. And so since you are working with the people that are spending their time, they're taking their time away from their families, they're trying to make this work. What do you see are the symptoms that these folks have that is really keeping them from breaking through?
They're getting burnt out. They're working with the kinds of clients that they don't want to work with. That's a big one. And we all have our ideal clients. We all have the people that just light us up inside, the people that we love working with. I see a lot of people settling for clients that they know are less than ideal because those people are willing to put money in their pocket. And I think that's always a losing proposition. I see people busting their asses, creating endless amounts of content. I mean, so many programs are saying, well, you got to have a blog and a Twitter feed and a YouTube channel, and you have to make 100 videos a day, and you have to do all this stuff. And all they're really doing is just cranking out tons and tons and tons of content, and they're not seeing any return on their investment. And they're just doing way too much work for not enough results, basically. And so when people come to me like that, I help them devise processes that put all of that stuff on autopilot so that the clients just come to you every single day, not just any old person, but the exact clients and customers that you want to work with.
Now, you said two things here that I want to talk about. One, autopilot. Mm-hmm. You don't hear that word very often in this world, do you? No. But it is, it's a word that's said a lot, but elusive. But, what I've seen from your system and what I've seen the results that people have gotten is probably as close to an autopilot that I think, would fit that definition for sure. And then it's the part of those clients that people want to work with. You say people are taking clients or customers because they're willing to pay, but they're not necessarily their ideal client. They're not clients that they're, happy or excited to work with. And sometimes could be just a flat, pain. So without, this sounding like an easy answer as well, where are these higher paying clients hiding? The ones that are their perfect client, that are willing to pay them more, that get them excited about what they're doing. Where can we find those? Where can you find a concentration of those so you can not work with those ones that you shouldn't be worked with?
Well, okay, so there's two parts to that answer. Number one, where do you find people in general? Where I recommend you find people in general right now is Facebook. Not because there's anything magical about Facebook, but that's because that's where everyone is. I mean, like, there's a billion people on Facebook. If you can't find your ideal customer and your ideal client from a pool of a billion people, then you have some serious problems. But within that, it comes down to how you communicate. Everything about your presentation has to be geared towards attracting the exact clients that you want. The things that you say in your videos and your webinars, the text on your landing pages, even the text from the ads that you run, all has to be geared toward finding a certain type of client that's going to see that message and instantly connect with it and instantly respond to it and then reach out to you to learn more. So it's a combination of both of those things. You need to be advertising in the right place. And right now that's Facebook. But more importantly, the content and the context of your advertising needs to be targeted toward the exact clients and customers that you want and attracting those people.
Yeah, I definitely see people making that mistake a lot is trying to, this blanket thrown of the wide net out there. Obviously, let me bring in any and all, more leads is better, regardless of what kind they are. So, essentially what you're saying and what I've seen, that you're doing is let's go after a smaller pool, a very, very concentrated target of people, and let's charge them more for what you're doing. And
yeah, and that's not, I just want to say something really quick. Yeah. That's not an arbitrary decision. So it's like people talk to me all the time about pricing, and it's like, so for example, I had a client come to me the other day who's one of the best relationship experts that I've ever seen. If your relationship is on the rocks, if your marriage is on the rocks, if you're staring down the barrel of what could be a nasty divorce, this guy actually has the power to come in and teach you new communication strategies that can turn that around, right? This guy was charging $197 to work with people. And I'm just like, that just shows right there that that person has no concept of the value that he's providing, you know? So like, let me put it this way. You're facing a very nasty divorce, right? And divorce is really, really expensive, as anybody who's gone through it knows. If he can really take that situation and turn that around, that's priceless. That's worth a hell of a lot more than $197. So the first thing you have to do is to get in touch with what is the value that you're actually providing. And most of the people who come to me, whether they realize it or not, they're providing value that's life-changing. I mean, if you're helping people get into better shape, that's life-changing. If you're helping people attract more customers and clients into their business, that's life-changing. If you're helping people manifest their deepest, most powerful desires, that's life-changing. And so those things should command a premium price point. And if they don't command a premium price point, people start to think it's fishy. They start to think it's weird that, you know, if this person can do what they say, why are they only charging a few $100 for this, or even a couple grand for this? They should be charging much more if they can really do what they say they can do.
Well, let's go deeper into this because, you know, that's really interesting. And I know there's different types of products. So like $197, you know, there's people that sell, you know, one-on-one, right? And those are the people that I see that get burned out really, really quickly when they're doing a lot of one-on-one, coaching. But there's also people that are just doing product based, meaning information for, you know, $197. They create that information once and then they sell it, you know, to a bunch of people. And that's where, you know, you see a lot of suggestions and advice right now out there saying, no. So, you know, sell a bunch of stuff really low price to a bunch of people so you can get people, you know, into your funnel, into your net. Then you can, you know, ascend the ones that are your best customers. And that seems to be what, you know, the current advice that everybody is following right now. You know, well, what do you see when people are doing that?
I completely disagree with that approach for a couple of reasons. Number one, let's say, for example, that you do have your $197, your $197 product, right? And let's just say that program is a decent success, you know, and you manage to sell, I don't know, 100 copies of it, right? Well, that's 100 people that you now need to provide customer support for. Or, you know, even if you sell 1,000, you know, you might think to yourself, oh, that's awesome. I sold 1,000 copies at $197. I made 200 grand. It's amazing. Well, now you have 1,000 people that you need to take care of. And on top of that, you know, and this is the kind of the dirty little secret of the information marketing world, is that $197 is not a very big commitment. So what's going to happen is 95, 96, 97% of those people are going to buy that product and either never look at it or never touch it or never do anything with it. And because of that, they're never going to get the result. So for me, I really want to help people. For me, it's not about information. It's about transformation. It's about taking someone from where they are and maximizing their potential to taking them to as high as their business could possibly go. Just like you said at the beginning of the call, you know, I'll take someone who's doing 10,000 a month. I'll scale them up to 120, 130,000 a month very quickly. But if I was only selling a $197 product, if I had 1,000 people to work with, I couldn't do that. I would rather work with a handful of really ultra motivated people and get them life-changing, magical, extraordinary results. Does that make sense?
It does. It makes perfect sense. And I know, you know, there's probably a lot of people thinking, man, that sounds great, but you know, there's some missing pieces here. So now I've seen you, you know, where you've taken someone that has a $197 product and you've had them blow up the price on that, you know, I mean, multiply the price of that $197 product. So I think that's where a lot of people think, well, how can I make my $197 product? Why would someone pay, you know, 5, 10 times more for that than what I'm selling it for now? And two, how do I find the people that are willing to pay that multiple for my product that I've been selling for $197?
Well, okay, so there's two things you have to do. Number one, you have to be clear on the value of that. And you have to understand that you're not selling an ebook, and you're not selling a video course, and you're not selling an hour of your time, or whatever it is you might be selling, whatever format you're delivering your training in, that's incidental. That doesn't matter. What you're selling is always the value of the result that you deliver. So that's a key shift that I have to get my clients to make, because they go, oh, well, I'm only selling a video course, but you're not. You're selling the value of the result that you deliver. If I follow that video course, and let's just say, for example, I change my eating habits and I lose 30 pounds and I have a ton more energy, and I'm probably going to live 10 to 15 years longer than I would have, right? That's worth a lot of money, and you should charge accordingly. So in your own mind, you have to make that shift where you really start to appreciate the value of what it is that you've got, and that what you're selling is the result. And the way that you deliver it or the way that you get people there almost doesn't matter. It's all about the result. And then once you understand that, you have to take control of your communication in such a way that you communicate that value in everything you do, in your webinars, in your videos. And then once that's done, you turn that into a process that runs on autopilot without you. So people click your ads, they come to a webinar or they come to a video, and the things that you say there grab these people by the heart and really show them that this is the most valuable thing they could possibly spend their money on right now at this time. And if they really want to solve this problem, you're the one to help them solve it. And so that's what we do. We put together processes that do all the heavy lifting for you, so that it turns, a click on an ad on Facebook into someone signing up with you as a client at whatever price point you want, $2,000, $5,000, $10,000. As long as it's commensurate with the value that you're providing, then it's a fair price.
Right. So that's where the more targeted traffic comes in. Cause, I definitely see a lot of these things where people are selling, get this book for $7. And then of course, you get nonstop, hit with everything up. And if you keep buying, they'll keep selling at higher prices. And it sounds like what you're saying, let's skip those people. Let's not even entertain the hand wringers or the tire kickers. Let's go straight for the people that can really benefit from what it is that you have, but speak directly to them, rather than trying to capture a wider group of people that might or might not be, one, benefit from what you have or be interested in what you have. I think when you just described the difference between selling a video course and selling a result, that's something I get instantly, right? If you're selling a cure to a pain that someone has, then that instantly becomes more valuable than this might be something I'm interested in. Now, the next part is, can you go a little bit deeper in when you are going after those higher paying clients? One, how you talk about Facebook. So I guess there's ways that you actually go in and target people that have a higher expectation of being one of those people. But also, one thing I think a lot of people have an issue with is, how do I convey that passion? How can I convey that value once they click on that?
In a word, webinars. A webinar is amazing because it gives you the chance to have an actual event where people are with you and they're spending time with you for 45 minutes or an hour or whatever it is. And that webinar, if you learn how to structure a webinar the right way, that can do all of the work of all of your content marketing. It can replace your blog. It can replace Twitter. It can replace video marketing. It can literally replace all of this stuff that you're doing. Because if you have people on a call with you for 45 minutes or an hour, you can tell your story. You can communicate with them. You can describe the pain that they're in and show them that, yes, there is a way out of it, and that you are the person who can show them that way. And if you structure a webinar properly, you get all the enthusiasm of a live event, all the enthusiasm of a live interaction with people, and and it gives you a chance to really establish your authority and really establish that value. So it's one of the most powerful communication tools out there. And so most of the time when I'm working with a client, the first thing we do is put together an amazing webinar. And when you do that the right way, you can sell at a high price point right from the webinar. It's very, very powerful.
Yeah, I think that's the key. I think anyone listening that's ever watched a webinar, multiple webinars, definitely you get a sense of a kind of a journey that you go through watching webinars. I've seen webinars that to me had a really great product, really great system, but the webinar was lacking and it didn't look like it really had any followed any purpose or, there was no, I hate to use the word blueprint, but there was no step by step on leading people to the understanding of what that value is. Then I've seen other webinars that seemingly had less content, and not that the content was less valuable, but it just had less content, and it seems like was put together very, very purposefully that would compel me that this is something. Yes, this is something that I need. Yes, this is something that I believe I can make work for me. And so, what you're saying is you're taking these people that have this great content and you're applying these techniques to make sure that the spotlight is on the value, the spotlight is on making that compelling message to draw people to understand that this is really what something that would benefit them tremendously.
Yeah, exactly. And it's all about having great information, but then delivering it in the right way. I mean, we've all been, hanging out with friends or relatives, and, like I have some relatives that, can take a really boring story and make it really great. And I've got other relatives that's like, they could have the coolest, most interesting story in the world, but they can't tell a story to save their life. And so, the story sucks. So what I do with my clients is we take control of that communication, and I take all the value that they've got to give, all the information they've got to give, their personal story, and we organize it in such a way that their presentation is extremely compelling and extremely valuable to everyone there, so that when someone attends one of their webinars, right, an instant connection is created. It instantly establishes their value and their authority. And the best part, it really helps everyone who is there. So when you have a webinar, that webinar should be orchestrated in such a way so that whether people buy from you or not, they have an experience that's overwhelmingly positive, where they walk away from that webinar knowing things that they didn't know before, being able to do things that they couldn't do before. And that builds up a tremendous amount of goodwill in the marketplace while you actually sell your stuff. So it's really great, and everybody wins.
Yeah, well, believe me, I think anybody's on here has been through webinars that have done that, and then webinars that leave you just mad and upset that, this was like me, taking my time out to watch somebody try to sell me a car, and so it can be powerful. Let me ask you this. A lot of people may have preconceived notions about who or what kind of products this is for. What does this work for? I know, there's people that think about, info marketing and, say how to make money, but I know you've worked with clients in a number of different types of businesses, and some that people may not think about, or will this work, for me or for my business? What is some of the breadth of the type of businesses that this kind of thing works for?
Oh, that's a great question, because this is something I hear all the time. It's a huge misconception that people think that if you're going to sell something for $2,000 or $5,000 or $10,000, that it has to be related to making money. That is not true. Anytime you can provide someone with a significant result, I don't care if it's, so like I have clients, for example, in nutrition. I have clients in spiritual development. I mean, it doesn't get any more like kind of vague and like sort of like woo woo than that. But, like law of attraction, coaches. I mean, anytime where if someone works with you, they will achieve a result better, faster, and quicker than if they didn't work with you. I think that you should and you can charge accordingly. So it doesn't have to be related to making money. I mean, I have clients in all kinds of different markets and all kinds of different niches. The one thing they have in common is that they have specialized knowledge that can really help people. And if you've got that, you're good.
Well, let's paint a picture and put a face on this. Can you give us an example of one, type of business that you worked with and kind of their situation of selling, whether they're selling $100 or $200, and then walk through how this transformation occurs?
Yeah, absolutely. So I'll give you a perfect example. Okay. So I have a client named Carrie, and Carrie's a therapist, and she works mostly with women, women who are successful, women who are trying to balance, their work life and their family life, and women who are basically just getting overwhelmed. And what Carrie was doing when she came to me is she was seeing clients one-on-one. And I think she was charging, like $150 or something an hour. And she would see a certain number of clients every week. in her office and work with them. So when she came to me, I said, Carrie, well, look, here's what we need to do. We need to put together a virtual program for you. So it's an online workshop. So it's not like you can, now you can have clients from all over the world now online. You don't have to just limit it to people that are in your hometown. And I think that we need to charge a price that's commensurate with the value that you're delivering. So Carrie did exactly what we said. She took all her expertise, and instead of seeing clients one-on-one, she put it together into an online workshop that was like 6 or 7 or 8 weeks, and slapped a nice high price point on it, and immediately sold out her first workshop at $12,000.
Wow.
So that's the power of what you can do when you take charge of your communication, when you have a process for getting more clients, and when you really appreciate the true value of what it is that you do. So this is someone who's not teaching people how to make money. She's in women's empowerment. She's teaching them how to balance their lives, how to relate in a more powerful way to their husbands and their children. And in a way, I think that's a hell of a lot more valuable than teaching someone how to make money, believe it or not.
Oh, extremely powerful. So you get to see, and so people understand, clearly there's probably resistance from a lot of your folks up front thinking, no, I don't believe that my program or my system can do this, right? Do you have people that are doubtful in that up front, and then when you implement it, they get that moment that they realize, wow, this is that valuable. This is work. There are people that want this outcome and are willing to pay for it.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, look, everybody has moments where they doubt their own value. I'm sure, you know what I mean? Oprah probably has moments where she wakes up and she's like, oh my God, is my TV show horrible? You know what I mean? It's like everybody has, Donald Trump probably has days where he wakes up and he's like, God, should I really be doing this real estate thing? So everyone has those moments of doubt. But you have to decide, is this something that you want to do? Or were you put here on this earth to help people? Can you help people? Do you want to help people? And if you do, then all you have to do is take control of your marketing and your processes and your presentation, and you can attract the exact clients you want at the exact price point that you want.
Well, I've seen, and I'm glad you used that example with a therapist, because I've seen people in a number of different types of industries that you've worked with and have gotten the results that a lot of times they thought were beyond their reach. So that's why I consider you an influencer, because, you're influencing these folks who in turn are influencing others and inspiring others with what they do. And I like to find out, what is influencing the influencer? What is it that inspires you, influences you, that drives you to do what you do, and that can even find its way into your work as you're helping others?
That's actually a really great question. So I'm a voracious reader. I mean, I'm always looking at what other people are doing. I'm always reading the latest and greatest books. I'm always looking at other people's webinars and just kind of seeing what's working and what's not. So I consider that part of my job, to stay on the cutting edge of what's working and what's not, because it does change. But that being said, what I keep going back to again and again are the universal principles, are the things that are absolutely timeless. And so one book that I read pretty much every day, is a book called Riches Are Your Right by a guy named Joseph Murphy. And this is a guy who's one of the greatest masters of all time at creating the future that you want and creating the destiny that you want. And he's sort of someone that flies under the radar. But when I read his stuff, it's just like, I don't know, man. It's like a tonic to my soul. I mean, as cheesy as that sounds, like it's like I read his stuff, and I'm inspired, I'm pumped up, I'm motivated, and the fear and insecurity that we all have and the doubt that we all have just evaporates. I mean, it's just really great stuff. So I recommend it to all my clients.
Oh, that's awesome. And thanks for sharing that, because I always love for people to share what gets them passionate and what, finds their way into their work and what they do, because I think that benefits everyone for sure. All right. So we have people out there, there's people saying, I have a product. I'm in this grind. I'm putting this together. I want to find out more about what Russ is doing and how I could get involved. Where can they go check that out?
Great. Yeah. So my homepage is russruffino.com. And if you go to russruffino.com/learn more, russruffino.com/learn more, all one word. There's some great information there too, that's going to give you much, much better idea of how you can take all the stuff that we just talked about and put it together and apply it to your business right there.
Perfect. Russ, I got to thank you for coming on today. And I think you've definitely opened the eyes of a lot of folks. And I know as I went through and saw what you're doing, it just made me realize, that these moments, this isn't some kind of magical stuff or some kind of, ninja loophole stuff. This is stuff that you just look at and you think that makes so much sense. Why is everybody doing it different? And you realize that, a lot of people buy products and buy systems. They're buying easy answers. Right. And I definitely love that, what I'm seeing from your system is it's real answers. Right. And I think that's the difference. And I think that's something that people that actually do take the time, roll up their sleeves, they take the action. I think they deserve nothing less than that because they're not just spending their money, they're spending their time on that. And I think what I love is I don't see people going down rabbit holes of theories with what you're doing. And I'm seeing, really actionable results. So for that, I thank you. And that's why I call you an influencer. And I want to thank you for coming on the show today.
Thank you so much, Jack. Thanks for having me.
All right, folks, check out russruffino.com. And we'll also have links there on the show page. And remember, you are the only real game changer. We'll see you next time.
You've been listening to Influencers Radio. To get all past shows and updates on future shows, visit influencersradio.com today or follow us on Facebook at facebook.com/influencersradio.